Today's video is going to be all about breaking in pointe shoes. It's about time that we get some really good education out there. There's many different, views on how to break in pointe shoes. There's a lot of information out there, both in the real world and on the internet. And I wanted to share with you guys some important information, but also help you to understand more about breaking in pointe shoes, how we do it, why we do it, what's safe to do, what we shouldn't be doing. So please stay tuned for the rest of the video. Now, with regards to why we break pointe shoes in and what exactly we mean by that, I'm going to help you with this. So, you might be on point already, so you already roughly know, or maybe you're going to gain some good information from this video, or maybe you're going to be getting your first pointe shoes soon and you're not sure, or maybe you have an interest in ballet because someone in your family dances. I'm here to help you. So, with regards to breaking the shoe in, this is the box, these are the wings, this is the platform, side quarters, heel piece. The shank is the backbone of the shoe. This is what supports your arch and, gives you stability in the shoe. And of course it comes in different strengths and different materials. But when we're breaking a pointe shoe in, what do people mean by that when they say that? They basically mean that they're molding the shoes to their feet. However, it is super crucial that we don't overdo it, because if you overdo it, not only will your pointe shoes die faster, but they will also not support you correctly. And of course, everyone's feet are different. So there are going to be variations of methods on breaking in shoes. And some feet, especially very strong feet or very flexible feet, you really shouldn't be doing anything to your pointe shoes, letting your feet do the work. Absolutely. However, of course, there are some very safe methods that we can use to mold our pointe shoes to our feet. And that includes the box, the wings, the shank, and safe methods that will, not be overdoing it and giving you a little bit of assistance, because especially if you're new to pointe, you will not really understand what to do best to prepare your pointe shoes. And also some dancers I meet, unfortunately, overdo it with their pointe shoes and don't realize that they're breaking their shoes in a bad way. But also sometimes they don't understand what their needs are. So this is why it's very important to work with a pointe shoe fitter if you need assistance with that. So when breaking in pointe shoes, we're also thinking about the demi pointe area here, because when a pointe shoe is new, they are made identical. And first of all, the dancer can work out which shoe she wants on which foot. And what I like dancers to get to do is to put an L and an R inside the shoe and keep them that way round. Reason why? Because, if you start to keep switching your shoes around on different feet, it's going to already have taken shape to that foot that you had it on. So it's actually going to end up breaking the shoe down oddly. So keep them on the same feet that you decide on. Also, obviously, we want to take care of the shoes to ensure lifespan. But when we're also thinking about breaking the shoes in, some dancers do some drastic things to the box and the shank, which, they shouldn't really be doing, because if the pointe shoe fits correctly, you shouldn't have to do so much crazy stuff to your shoes. Now, of course, with professionals, it's a little bit different. They might need to quickly prepare a pair for a performance, in which case, if they're wearing a custom order with Grishko Nikolay pointe shoes, we have such an incredible array of option for customization that even when professionals have a custom shoe, they shouldn't really need to do too much to it either. Of course, with professionals, they also wear different strengths of shoe depending on the role that they're dancing as well. And they will have some personal preferences as to areas of the shoe that they're going to mold to suit them and what they're doing. But don't forget, they are professionals. They have a budget for their shoes. Most of you guys are young still. Your parents or whoever are buying your shoes, or, even if they're not, you should still be getting good lifespan out of your shoes, right? So pointe shoes are a thing of beauty and we should be looking after them, but also looking after our feet. Healthy feet are very important. So if we're not breaking in our shoes correctly or we're overdoing it, not only can you be liable to injury, but it's also about the support in general and also the look of the shoe. The shoe should look beautiful on your foot. So I'm going to do a bit of speaking first, then after the speaking I'm going to show you some exercises to do to help you mould your point shoes to your feet, and we'll also be joined, I'm going to add some clips from Grishko girl Shakira. I've been fitting her since her very first pair, and she will show some exercises also. So now another thing I want to bring to your attention is that when beginners are new to point work, they can sometimes be confused with the breaking in process. They sometimes are trying, for example, to obtain something that doesn't exist. What I mean by that is if they have not worn demi point shoes prior to getting actual point shoes, they will not be used to the tight sensations of an actual point shoe. So sometimes they will keep striving to do more and more to their shoe and think that they're going to get soft like a ballet slipper, for example, which is just not going to happen. Of course, it should be comfortable and it should support you, but it absolutely won't feel like a ballet slipper because it's a point shoe and it's got to do its job. It's got to support you in different ways because, you know, your feet are in different positions, your body's in different alignment. So sometimes I find with beginners that it's mostly due to the fact they're just not used to how a broken in point shoe feels, which can also have the opposite effect. They can be dancing in dead shoes and not realise. But also they can think or struggle with breaking in their shoes and think it's the point shoe, but actually, unfortunately, sometimes it's just down to your strength, and you have got to build that strength up over time in your feet and your ankles. You know, point work isn't easy, and to some people it's not as natural as it is to others. So just be patient with it. Breaking in point shoes, you know, it's not a super fast process. Of course, we have shoes that are more easy to wear. Certain shank strengths and certain pastes of the box, for example, and certain models are more ready to wear shoes than others. But it's very crucial you're in the right strength shoe for you, and your fitter will help you decide the right strength. And of course, once you're a seasoned point shoe wearer, like a professional, you may want to wear different strength shoes for different things. That's also fine. But the goal here is I want to teach you to keep your feet healthy, to ensure that you have many years of dancing ahead, but to also ensure that you know what to look for when you're breaking in your point shoes. So that's my job for today. Another factor I just want to speak about is the fact that if you truly are struggling with your point shoes, you have any types of pains, or maybe you're not getting over enough, or maybe you're going too far over, or you have other alignment issues, or anything else, go and get an opinion on it. Because sometimes, and as you've probably seen from my own social media, quite often there are dancers that unfortunately are in the wrong point shoes. So if you're really unsure, speak to your teacher, go and get another opinion somewhere else to discover your options. Because if you find you're still struggling months on and say your feet have definitely gotten stronger, so it's not really your feet that the problem here, it could be that the shoe just isn't working out for you. So it could be that you just need a different shoe or a different strength altogether. So just bear that in mind, you know, just wanted to put that out there. And of course, don't forget that point shoes have a lifespan. Of course, certain models tend to last a bit longer than others, but there are many factors that go into what the lifespan of a point shoe itself, such as your own personal strength, your technique, how many hours of point work you're doing. If you're doing a lot of hours of point work, are you rotating shoes? All these little tips and tricks, you know, that are going to help you out. But if you're only doing point work a little bit a week, then of course it's going to take you a lot longer to adjust to point work, but also you'll find that your shoes will maybe take a little bit longer to break in. So first of all, you can wear them around the house. Don't go up and down stairs, it's dangerous. Personally, what I like to do is wear thick fuzzy socks over the top of my point shoes whilst they're on my feet. And I also like to wear my Grishko Nikolay warm-up booties over the top. You can actually wear these while going on point, so that's super cool. The reason why I like to do that is it gets my foot nice and warm in the shoe, because heat makes the box and the wings mold to your foot quicker. So the more warmer your feet are, the more the shoe is going to adapt to your foot. And the beautiful thing with Grishko Nikolay point shoes is the fact that our pastes that we use are, you know, they really want to mold to your feet quickly, which is wonderful. So you don't have to struggle like you would do in other brands. And as you know, I've worn many brands myself, and I can tell you in certain shoes I've worn in the past, I have struggled greatly. So that's another great thing about our shoes. Of course, some people, I've done a video on this before, but some people say about Grishko Nikolay pointe shoes being too hard. Well, we have plenty of models, so much variety. In, you know, just off the shelf, we have over 12,000 variations. So there is definitely a shoe for you, but also work with a great fitter as well, of course. We have so many options, different pace, many different shank strengths. So you absolutely shouldn't think that all Grishko Nikolay pointe shoes are hard, because that's totally not true. I also wanted to bring to your attention how important not only the correct model and strength of shoe is to your feet, but also the correct size and width. Because if it's not all working together, you will find that the shoe is not going to mold to the exact areas to your feet that it should be. For example, even, you know, people that have been badly fitted in a Grishko Nikolay shoe that have come to me, I've seen, for example, shoes that are too big in length, which you'll be able to see or you'll be able to feel because there'd be too much fabric as well. And when a shoe is too big or too wide or a bit of both, the shank cannot mold into the arch. So the idea of the shank is, you see at this top area here, this is generally the kind of area where someone's arch breaks. I will get into this in a moment about different arches and where they break and that information soon. But generally speaking, across the 3/4 area is where the arch is going to break. So the shank should gently mold into your arch. With Grishko Nikolay pointe shoes, our constructions always have this great, lovely line of where the arch will mold to your foot beautifully, giving you great support, but also ensuring that it shows off a very pleasing line to the foot. Now, obviously, we don't want to go drastic with the shank, and I'm going to get into that in a moment too. So if the shoe is too big, or it's too small, or it's too wide, too narrow, or the box shape is wrong, if all the attributes of the perfect fitting are not there, it will affect how your shoe breaks in, but also it's going to affect the look of the shoe. So take into consideration those really important factors. Now, if a shank is broken in incorrectly, so this is the shank again, if it's too bendy, or it's the wrong strength in general, or maybe you've broken it in too low, it will break lower down here, which not only looks ugly, but also it will throw you off alignment. What I mean by that, when we're looking at a dancer from side on in parallel position, for example, on point, we want to see a straight line. With the feet, the ankle bone, imagine there's ankle bone here, I'll show you my own feet soon. Ankle bone in line with the big toes, in line with the knee, in line with the hip, so forth. If the shoe is broken too low, the ankle bone starts to drop back and the metatarsals start bending forwards at a very weird angle. Now, what happens there is we can end up with stress fractures. We can end up actually doing damage to our feet and not realizing till later down the line. It's very important that you're in straight alignment. You're not going too far this way. You're not going too far this way. You're not going that way, that way. Everything is straight and aligned. Very crucial. So the shank is very important in the way that it's broken in. If you start manually bending your shoes too much, not only are you not going to break in the shank into the correct area for your arch, but also you're making the lifespan of the shoe shorter, and you're going to end up with it too low down and your foot not in the correct position, which in turn will give the wrong alignment. It will affect your dancing, your balance. It will also be very unstable and just unsafe. I see this happen a lot, and also I see dancers that are struggling to get over on point, which can be to do with their actual feet and ankles. But sometimes what they do is they start to really bend their shanks, or they cut them, 3/4 them or half shank them in order to try get over the shoe. But getting over onto full point is not all to do with the shank. It's to do with many other factors of the shoe: profile height, box shape, width, length, padding, ankle strength, ankle flexibility, the way we use our feet, the way we point our feet, so many factors. But some people seem to think it's all to do with the shank, how you get over or not. And yes, okay, the shank does play a role in that, but it's not, as I mentioned, the be all and end all of the reasons as to why you're not getting over, or if you're going over too far. Now, of course, we have the opposite problem here. If someone is super flexible and they're not in the right shank strength or shoe for them, they will banana over this way. That is super dangerous. And you've probably all seen it on social media as well, where some people are actually kind of proud to have a foot like that. The feet are beautiful, sure, but those kind of feet need a lot of strength work to go with it, and they also really need the correct point shoe, and they can have a tendency to go through shoes quicker. So it's very important that they get fitted professionally. And some of these dancers actually need custom shoes as well, which, if you know, Grishko, Nikolay, we have so many options for custom. It's unbelievable. And I fitted all sorts of feet, including those crazy flexible feet, and managed to help them and get them shoes that support them and last them longer. Just a little bit more about the shank as well. The importance of it breaking in correctly as well is we don't want it bone straight like this, okay? So it's got to bend a little bit into your arch, because if it's bone straight and it's too strong, your weight will drop down the shoe and you will kill the box and the wings and the platform quicker because you're dropping downwards and sinking. We have to be lifted up out of the shoe when it's new. Of course, when it starts to die, you will find that it expands a little bit. This is why it's important to get the correct fit. But we also don't want the opposite. We don't want the shank too stiff, because of course also that can cause problems with getting over onto full point. So we want that right, you know, shank strength to support us, but also to be broken in a little bit, nothing crazy. So that was also something else I wanted to talk to you guys about. Now let me go through some of the things that people do with their point shoes. Now, of course, with professionals, like I mentioned, professionals do have their own little tips and tricks that they do, but they do have a budget for point shoes. They go through point shoes quicker than the average dancer. And they have customizations done and whatever else, okay? So I'm not talking about professionals in this part. I'm talking about the rest of us that are not professional, dancers in training, dancers who dance for a hobby, and so forth. We want to make sure, you know, we're not doing this crazy stuff. Let me go through some of those things. Some people hammer them. Some people whack them on concrete. If you're doing those things to get rid of the sound of the point shoe, then in Grishko Nikolay point shoes, we have the options for Pro, which means sound absorption, so it won't be as noisy, but also in Pro Flex, it has sound absorption as well. So, you know, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to do any of this crazy stuff. Some people step on the box. They really, really crumple the box with their hands, almost destroying it. The paste is essential. It's got to be sturdy. It's got to hold your foot in place. You know, I cannot stress this enough. If you're finding you're getting pressure areas and you're getting pain, again, contact your fitter, work on it, feet change. I cannot stress how important it is to get a fitting. You know, try your best to go every 6 months if you can. Just have a little checkup on your shoes and see what's changed, because if you're growing as well, so much can change about that also. Another thing people do, water. I've seen people, you know, pull the shank to pieces, cut the shank. 3/4 shanks does serve a purpose, but if you aren't strong enough, and you must consult your teacher about 3/4 shanks or half shanks before you do it. With a 3/4 shank, it's a great thing for dancers that have super bendy feet, or they tend to kill the shank quicker and they want a bit lifespan from their shoes, but work with your fitter on that. We can do that in custom order. Some of our shoes already have 3/4 shanks, but you know, if you're a beginner or you're a hobby dancer, or you know, you're already okay with your shanks, then please don't worry about 3/4 or half shanks. Just because you see someone else does it doesn't mean it's right for you as well. Another important factor is we don't want to be letting our teachers manipulate our shoes. I know your teacher is your teacher, you know, teachers are amazing, but sometimes I've noticed teachers, like I've literally been in classes myself where the teacher has grabbed someone's point shoe and started bending it backwards and forwards, breaking it too low down, so then the shoe does not support them correctly, or they start whacking it and trying to do anything they can to sort the shoe out for the dancer. I get it, you know, teachers can sometimes be under stress from their students because the students are complaining about their point shoes. But if you're a teacher watching, please, you know, take into account some of the things I'm going to speak about in this video. And if you have a student that is really struggling, it can be, like I spoke about, a matter of them gaining strength in their feet or ankles, or the fact they're new to point work. You know, demi point shoes make a huge difference to a dancer wearing those before doing point. I have a video about them, I'll link it below. But also, you know, if they are really, really struggling their shoe, go and get them refitted somewhere else. Get some more advice if the dancer is really struggling. Please don't just grab the shoes and think that, you know, you can solve it by bending it and stuff, because if there's a massive problem there. That's not going to solve it either. Now also we have models with thermo technologies in our innovative Pointe shoes, such as Dream Pointe 2007, Dream Pointe, the non-pre-arch version, Super Triumph Standard and Super Triumph Pre-Arch. They all have thermo materials in the shanks, which are not traditional. They are designed to mold by the feet only. Please do not manipulate those with your hands at all, because they will be liable to snap, and they are designed to really take your body heat and mold to your foot perfectly. So please don't do anything to those shoes at all. Also, personally, I always tell dancers, if you've been fitted by me, you'll know how much I stress that you should be using your feet to break in your Pointe shoes. I even teach you, when you've been fitted by me, my own personal advice for your feet and how to break your shoes in for your feet. So I always help my dancers with that personally. I also wanted to mention that in our shoes with ProFlex shanks, you absolutely do not want to be bending those, not even the lightest bit, because those shanks are super bendy as it is. So they really, really do not need any manipulation whatsoever. I mean, as I've mentioned, your feet should be doing the work, but I have also just told you that, you know, we can do light manipulation to the shoe, which I'll speak about in a moment. I also wanted to mention that, you know, different shank strengths are going to feel different because the construction, the strength. So for example, this is a medium and this is in a pro. So this shank is quite sturdy, but still has a generous feel in the arch and the demi points. But of course, when a Pointe shoe is totally new, of course it's going to feel harder to a broken in shoe. That's just how it is, because as the shoe breaks down, it gets softer. So, you know, if you still curious about shank strengths, you can ask your fitter about that. The methods I'm going to show you for breaking in Pointe shoes will work for other shoes, of course. But if you have any modern shoes with modern technologies, then you need to find out how best to do that. But generally those kind of shoes, for example, our innovative shoes, do not need any manipulation to them. Another thing some people struggle with is the box paste and feel and the vamp. Now, again, you know, that can be down to the fact that you just haven't worn the shoe enough. Your foot hasn't got hot in it enough. You have, you know, it takes time to mold shoes to your feet. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you're really struggling still, you can request, you know, to try many of our other models that have the lightweight flexible paste. Nova has it, for example. Can you see it's more flexible? So you might prefer that. Or, you know, if you've got a Grishko Nikolay model that doesn't come with the lightweight paste, you can custom order it. So, you know, sky's the limit with options. Yeah. So in the next part of this video, I'm going to show you Grishko girl Shakira and some exercises she does to break in her Pointe shoes using her feet. And I will also show you on myself. I don't have, you know, as flexible feet as Shakira, so I thought it was important to show you some different types of feet and how I put my Pointe shoes on and break them in using my feet as well. Now with the arch area, like I mentioned, we can gently bend it. This is what I recommend you do. You're going to find where your arch breaks. I will show you a little clip of exactly how to find your arch in a moment and the crucial area. But what I mean by that is we will put the shoe on our foot and we will fold the heel piece back like this. So the shoe will be on like this. We will then look with our foot on point in the shoe. You can sit down and do this to make it safer, of course. Sit down, just one foot on point, and do both because you might have a difference in your feet. And you will look to see where your arch bends. So say, for example, you can see your arch bends here. You don't want to do it too low or too high. So you then take a pencil and just mark where your arch breaks on the side of the inside of the shoe. Take the shoe off your foot. And I like to keep this bit back down, but then I will look where that pencil mark is and I will flip it round this way, hold it with one hand, and I will find the area where I need it to bend a little bit, put it on a hard surface and gently bend. Nothing crazy. Do not bend the shoe in half, just slight manipulation. So for example, right, on this one, just a little bit. Just encouraging it to get into the arch there. So that's looking good already. We don't want to overdo it because we don't want to kill the shoe, but also we want to make sure we've got that support. But the idea of the shank is it should melt into your arch, as I mentioned, because it creates a little shelf for your heel. And by having the shank working together with your arch, it creates distribution points in the shoe, which enables the shoe to take the weight load of you as a dancer, but also give you all that nice support in the arch to get you on point and keep you there and to keep you in alignment. So we do not want to go crazy with this. And I see so many dancers that bend it so drastically because they're trying to make it look like they have more of an arch or they get over more. But it's actually going to do them more harm than good in the long run, because not only can, like I mentioned, it can cause injury, but it's also going to affect alignment, it's going to affect you dancing, and it's going to look too drastic. In certain brands of shoes that I've worn and seen on others who come to me, they break too low down and it's really dangerous. So please make sure that, you know, your shank of your shoe always breaks in at the correct point for you. And now I'm going to show you exactly how to find that part in your foot. Okay, so for example, you'd pull the heel piece back like this. Imagine I'm sat down, I've just got one foot on point. Now, what I'm looking for is where the arch breaks. You might have seen this in other videos people have done, but can you see the high point of my arch is here? So this is generally where I need the shank to be getting into my arch to get me over and to give me the correct support. So I hope that helped you to understand where the shank should be moulding exactly into that area of your arch and how important it is. If it's too straight, it's not going to do its job. You're probably going to kill your shoe in a different way that you shouldn't be killing it. It might die faster. Shank has to work with your foot, not against it. I've actually got a super soft shank here. I just wanted to show you because I wanted people to be more aware of the amazing options we've got in shank strengths. This is a super soft in a Maya 1. Can you see how generous it is? So in a super soft shank, you really don't need to be doing anything to that shank because it's already so soft. Let your feet do the work. Yeah, I just wanted to show you that. I also wanted to point out that if you're wearing too soft a shank for your foot, not only will it die faster, but you're also not going to be supported correctly. So please work with a fitter to understand more about shank strengths and what will work for you and your needs. So of course, if I was in a stronger shank and I did want to do a little bit of bending there, I would look to where my pencil mark would be, where I've marked for my arch, and just lightly manipulate it. No raging backwards and forth or cutting the shank or any of that business, just getting it just right so it sucks in really well to my arch. There's also some exercises I'm going to show you in a moment that you can do to let your feet really get that shank into your arch while you have the shoes on. Which also might be great for you guys to learn about if you didn't know already. Now let's speak about the demi-point. The demi-point area is also crucial. Depending on what method ballet you dance, for example, I know that mostly in Russian method, they like to spring up onto point. So yeah, but anyways, you know, here in the UK and most ballet classes I've done around the world as well, having a good demi-point for a great roll through and to ensure that we're working every part of our foot is also, you know, something we like to make sure that it's working with us rather than against us. If the demi-point is too tough for you, you're going to end up springing up onto point a lot or jumping onto point even like a chapeau, for example. Or you're going to find that, you know, you're not going to be able to work every part of your foot. Now, working every part of our feet is also crucial for gaining strength, not only for point work in general, but also making our metatarsals more stronger so that even in our soft shoes, our technique becomes even more improved. I also just wanted to make a little point about something before I get going with filming the rest of this video, showing you the exercises, and that's please really pay attention to when your point shoes are dying. If you're not sure if they're dead yet, ask your teacher or a fitter if they feel, you know, you need a new pair, because sometimes as dancers we can not be aware of our shoes truly dying, especially if you're a beginner, but also we can all kill point shoes at different rates depending on so many factors. So the lifespan of a point shoe can vary drastically from one person to the other, depending on, you know, even your technique, your weight, your strength, your alignment, if you have any bad habits, how many classes you're doing a week, if you're doing performance rehearsals, if you're in full-time training, and so forth. So many factors go into the lifespan of a shoe. Looking after the shoe, of course, as well, making sure we're caring for it correctly. You know, if you're doing lots of point work, you really should be rotating pairs. What I mean by that, wear one pair for say an hour, switch to another pair for an hour. If you're the type of dancer who sweats a lot, you may benefit from getting our Tropicana paste put in the box and the platform so it lasts longer here. But you also will benefit from changing your pointe shoes more frequently if you're doing a lot of pointe work. So with really dancers who sweat a lot, you may find that, you know, switching pairs every half an hour if you're in rehearsal, performance, whatever, will also be more beneficial to you. So as I mentioned earlier about wearing thick fuzzy socks over your pointe shoes in order to get your feet nice and hot in them, of course be careful if you're on slippery floors, but at the bar, only the bar, or just walking around on flat, you can put some thick fuzzy socks over the top, like bed socks. These are cute Pusheen the cat ones that I quite like, but also of course if you have warm-up booties, you can wear these over as well. Our Grishko Nikolay warm-up booties can be worn on pointe. These are some of my favourites. Look at that colour. And remember, if you have any questions about dancewear or booties, feel free to ask me. This is one of my favourite leotards as well. Just want to show you that. So yeah, I'm going to show you first of all me on pointe in these booties, so you can see what I mean about how you can go on pointe in them. Warming your feet up in the pointe shoes makes the box conform to your foot shape a lot quicker. Here we have Grishko girl Shakira doing some prances, also known as pony trots. Starting off slow and speeding up. Make sure your weight is on your big toe, you're nice and aligned, and you're pushing over your arches, also working through the demi pointe. Now she's going into the same thing in first position. Again, make sure you're nice and aligned, really pushing those arches forward, working the demi pointe. You could do these slow and then speeding up as well. And now we're going to be going on to some releves, two-footed releves. You can do these in other positions if you wish, really stretching those arches forwards. And now one-footed releves with the back foot in coupe. Do equal repetitions on both feet. Great for building strength in one-footed work as well. Make sure you work on control also. And next up, we're going on to some rises with both feet, rolling through every part of your foot as much as you can, coming back up and coming back down. You can do these a lot slower, by the way, working on articulation. And of course, when the shoes are very new, it might be a little bit harder to do. And now we're doing some little, what I call going to 3/4 point and pushing back up to work on that demi. Now we're taking a rise 4 point and a plie, pushing over the box and rolling back down. And the next version we can do is the opposite basically. So you're taking the plie first, rolling up and then pushing down. So here are my booties on. As you can see, they look really cool and cozy. You can also wear these, you know, between rehearsals, classes, performances, because they keep your feet super toasty and warm and have got good grip. So in these, you can go on pointe in them. Okay, so the first exercise I'm going to show you are pony trots, or some people call them prances. We're standing in parallel position. Be careful if you're at home. Make sure you're on a suitable floor and you've got something sturdy to hold on to if you don't have a bar. We're in parallel, core's engaged, everything's engaged. And with the right foot first, the idea is, if you've not seen this before, you can also do this on demi pointe, by the way. We're going to think about rolling through our feet, keeping nice and straight and pushing up to 4 points and rolling back down, articulating every part of our foot in the shoe. This will break in the demi pointe area, get the shank to mold to the foot, and also as we're rolling through like this, it's going to encourage the box to take shape to our feet also. So standing in a parallel, make sure everything's aligned. And with the first, we're going to go through the right foot first of all. Keep that straight line, push over, try to stretch the foot. As this foot rolls down, the other one starts to come up and push over again. Now you might find that you have, one foot that's stronger than the other. My left foot is weaker, and you're going to see that because I don't have enough strength in it when I roll down. And we're alternating, going through the feet, trying to keep nice and stacked and aligned. Now, of course, we can speed it up. You can start slow and speed it up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do some now. Pushing through demi-point, 3/4 up to full. And we want to keep our foot straight. We don't want to go this way, we don't want to go that way. We want to keep nice and straight. You might notice my left foot wants to sickle a little bit this way. It's because it's a lot weaker. But try to be aware of what you're doing. And also, of course, any weaknesses, we can work with exercises for our feet and ankles for that also, out of Pointe shoes and in our slippers, technique shoes. So fold it through. Then we can start to speed it up. Pushing those insteps really forwards and come back down. You can do, say, 10 repetitions, build it up, as you go along. The more stronger you get, the more used to point work you get. But that is the idea. So that is one of the exercises that I love to do the most. And now we're going to go on to another. Now we can also do the same thing in first position. Pressing through the feet, articulating every part of the foot. Really push for that demi-point. Don't be afraid to put pressure. We're going to go through the right foot first. Going up. I'll do them slow first of all. Keep your turn out. Really think about holding everything in place. As that foot comes down, the other foot goes up. Try not to roll your feet again. Really think about engaging everything. This will be stiff at first when your shoes are new. Now we can think about speeding it up. And feel free to press over onto the shoes as well. So in first as well, we can go up and we can think about leaning our body weight onto that foot and pushing that foot over to really encourage that shank to mold. And then we can come up and the left, press our body weight over, really stretch. Whoops. So that's also another exercise. Also, we can do the same thing in parallel, thinking about rolling the foot up. Really articulate and press forward, really stretch our foot forwards. Get all that body weight on it to really stretch the instep forwards and encourage the shoe to mold to your foot. And think about rolling back down. The left, rolling up, pushing forwards. You might find that one foot is stiffer than the other foot. My left foot is my stiffer foot. Coming up, try to get that slow articulation, pulling down. Next up, in parallel position, facing the bar again. Some people call it sixth position, by the way, just so you know. We're going to take a slow, controlled rise, so rolling up to 4 points. We're going to take a plie when we hit 4 points, pushing over our shoes as much as we can to stretch those feet. And we're going to come back to straight legs and we're going to rise back down. So first of all, you want to prepare yourself, make sure everything is aligned and held. Keep straight legs first. There's the opposite version I'm going to show you in a moment. So we're going to think about rolling through. Try to keep it nice and slow and controlled if you can. This top bit can be hard. Then we're going to push over, stretch those feet. Be careful not to roll. You might shake, by the way, that's completely normal. Then we're going to come up to straight legs as straight as we can. Try to keep on the platform. Might be a bit tricky when the shoes are new. Then we're going to slowly peel down, really articulating every part of the shoe. And again, pulling up. This will really help strength as well. See, I popped up a bit too soon there. You really want to try and control that. Really push over. Come up to straight legs, as straight as you possibly can. Keep that weight on those big toes. Really push down. Get that lovely roll down. Because coming down from point is also, of course, very crucial. We don't want to ping down. Next up, we can do the other version of this. This time round, we take a plie first of all. Again, parallel position. Commence with straight legs, take a plie first of all. Hold the plie, and then roll up. This part can be tricky. Pushing up to full point, hold it, come up to straight legs. Try to keep the shape of the foot. Keep pushing those feet forwards. Weight onto big toes. You might have to adjust yourself. And now you're going to slowly peel back down, working every part of the foot. And again, we take a plie first of all. Hold the plie, push through, work every part of those feet, push up, push those feet forwards, get a stretch, hold it, try to keep control, on weight onto the big toe, coming up to straight legs, pushing those feet as forwards as you possibly can, straighten up, and now slowly peel back down. Again, just do a few reps of these until you build your strength up. I just wanted to show you from the side the importance of rolling the foot up and using every part of the foot as much as we can. Some dancers will do this. They'll go from here, here, and then to point, like pinning up. When we're rising or rolling through the shoes, we want to think about working every part of the foot so that not only the shoe gets broken in correctly, but also we are gaining strength. So you always want to be careful with that. So you want to, think about every little part, really peel it up, use resistance, even at this part here, pushing forwards. And then when you come back down, don't just plonk down, think about every little part, use all your feet. Now sometimes this is down to the shoe, or sometimes, they just don't have enough strength yet, which is totally fine, it takes time. Some dancers have more weaker metatarsals than others, and it's the intrinsic foot muscles that we need to be working on. And this is why also demi-point shoes are great, and also doing exercises with, out of ballet classes too. Next up, we're going to do first position starting on the flat. We're going to rise up to full point with straight legs, and we're going to take a plie, pushing over our shoes as much as we can, and then we're going to come to straight legs again and roll down. So we commence, make sure you got your turnout, holding everything sturdy. We're going to think about rolling through every part of the shoe, coming up. Now we're going to take a plie, really push for that turnout, hold it, push over, try to stretch those feet as much as you can. You might shake, it's fine. This is a tricky bit, is holding the turnout and coming back up again. And now rolling back down the shoes. Excuse my positioning. Again, straight legs, rise up, push over, come up to straight legs, push those feet forwards, weight on big toes, try to turn out, roll back down. Now we're going to do the opposite to this. We're going to take a plie first of all. Once we've got the plie, we're going to peel up to full point, pushing over our shoes, coming up to straight legs and rising down. So first position on flat, take your plie, push over as much as you can. Now really think about peeling up slow as you can. This bit's tricky when you hit there. Hold it, try to push over a little bit more. Come up to straight legs, try to keep the control of the feet, the turnout. As you can see, my right foot doesn't want to go over as much at the moment. And roll back down, which is quite unusual because my right foot is actually the strongest.
Next up, I'm doing some two-footed releves. Of course, you can do these in various positions. Best to start off slowly. You can build them up faster if you wish. If you're new to point work, don't overdo these. And be sure to think about control, think about using as much of your foot as possible, really using your plie, and really thinking about turning out, making sure everything is engaged and pulled up.
You can also stretch your feet out as well by putting one shoe over the other and pushing into the ground and really push into the arch using that resistance. You will find easier with one foot than the other, because you will find that one foot is more stronger than the other and flexible than the other possibly. Really push in, turn out as much as you can. Now, as for the demi-point area, we can, if you're still struggling with that, we can also just simply walk around on demi-point, for example. Do little kind of movements like this to get the demi-points. More releves would work with that. And another thing I really like to do for demi-point is there's a teacher called Lynn Charles, find her on YouTube, she's called 4 Point. She does some amazing, extremely beneficial bar videos for point work, which build stamina and also show you how to use every part of your foot. And one of them in particular, she takes first position, and you're basically going to rise up to 4 points. Let me just take a smaller first. And you're going to come to demi, or 3/4 rather, and then ping up like this. Just doing little roll throughs. And it takes a lot of stamina to where my first position went there. But it also really works at demi. Can you see now how much of a demi point I've got? I've had these shoes, I think, a week now. Been wearing them, a little bit a day, and they're already moulding so nicely to my feet. So, even just doing a few minutes a day, like say 10 minutes a day, will really get your shoes moulding to your feet well. There are so many exercises that you can do to break your point shoes in. I'm sure there's some I've forgotten. Another variation I like to do in first position is basically straight legs again. We're rolling up to 4 points, plie, hold the plie, peel down, but this time keep the plie, and then just keep rolling up, rolling down, come to straight legs. So I hope this video has been of use to some of you watching. If you have any questions, just let me know. Of course, as you might be aware, I do point shoe fittings, I travel all around. I also now do virtual fittings. If you would like one with me, just contact me. If you're interested in any of the Grishko Nikolay dancewear, let me know. Please follow me on Instagram. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing more videos than ever. Also, excuse my technique. I'm just an adult who does ballet. I'm not great at ballet. So I'm sure there's some exercises I forgot about. If I did, I'll make another follow-up video. Also, when we're out of lockdown, I will do another video, probably with some of the NG generation that are in the UK, such as Shakira, who I just had in the clips before. Yeah, thanks for watching.